If you knew what your true yes was and what your true no was in all areas of your life, would you be able to choose faster and easier? What futures would those choices create? Everyone is capable of connecting to their bodies in a way to have more exuberant and joyful living now and in the future. Now, here is your host of Choosing a Different Future with Siris.
Hi everyone, I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo, and you're here on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today's topic is when your body's awareness is asking for something different. That's like, when is that not happening, right? We're going to get into it. If you're new to our show, this is a show all about the different choices we can make, the different resources, strategies, tips that you can use so that you can create a life that actually is worth living for you. That's actually something that lights you up and may be different than anything that's been propelled or projected at you by family, friends, whoever. And on top of that, that's something that really excites you and includes joyful pleasure, expansion, and way, way, way more ease. And all of these different tips are coming from my personal experiences, my experiences as a family and child coach, a body relationship coach, and a therapeutic energy worker. I've been working as a speech language pathologist, learning behavioral specialist, and feeding therapist for 16 going on 16 years now. And I added on family and child coaching and all these other modalities, making sure that they're all including and piggybacking off of each other. There's really no separation in my world when it comes to all of these different techniques and approaches. And I know that that can be a bit tricky sometimes to understand. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about some of my experiences as well today. In case you would like to connect with me directly and like to meet me in person, we have some upcoming events. We have an awakening class in June on June 24th. That's a Saturday, where you get to learn the living and dying body process. You get to give and receive it, and you can connect with us live streaming through anywhere that you are in the world, or come to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we're going to be having the class live and in person. Also, we have our Expansive Energies self-care group, which meets twice a month online virtually. So again, you can connect with us from anywhere that you are in the world. And we meet up for 45 minutes of nurturing, yummy group therapeutic energy work sessions. Some coaching goes in there, and you get the audio replays. And this month's theme is Celebrate Your Life. It's my birthday month, and it's also just a great theme for any day, but I really love having that as a theme for this month for my birthday. And if you are new to the group, you can actually get your first month free, so you can try it out. Just go to our website, and you can email us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Put the subject line Expansive Energies. And when you register using the Expansive Energies page, empoweringlightlanguage.com/expansive energies, you can get that first month refunded back to you. How cool is that? So you get to play, you get to connect to our group members, and celebrate your life this month. We meet every 2 weeks, and we meet up on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern if you'd like to do it live streaming, and you can also just receive the audio replays. We also have an upcoming Being a Different Possibility for Families call. These are these complimentary monthly calls that we provide around different themes. Last month's theme was planting seeds for communication success. This month's theme on May 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having the theme of thriving with your family. And on June 26th, we're going to talk about having your fantastical voice with family. All of that. Oh my gosh. So yum, yum, yum. And so in that group, it's a support group to add different tools and strategies, resources to support children and families for your own families, or if you work with families. So if you know of anyone that would benefit from that, you can go to our events page on the website and register, or go and find us on all of our social media platforms where we have that event posted. So this episode's theme, I got to take a breath because this has been so fun to prepare for. One of my favorite topics to talk about, connecting with bodies, and when your body's awareness is asking for something different. When our body has an awareness that is counter to what is showing up, So far, okay, it can be uncomfortable. It can, and in more extreme cases, it can be painful or deadly. And so I'd love to look at, well, what can we do when our body is asking for something different? People come to me looking for how they can have a greater connection with their body and how they can partner with their bodies more. Because I think we all are partnering them to some degree, but how can we partner with them more to create our lives, to have our fantastical voice, to choose relationships that nurture us, to lift them ourselves up with this partnership in a way that includes pleasure, in a way that includes a joyfulness, a way that gives us a sense of hope. I talk a lot about how hope is this lubricant for exuberant living. And when we learn to communicate with our bodies and learn to listen to our bodies, we can have all of that and more, especially when we can perceive the various ways our bodies can be trying to let us know that they desire something else. So we can take steps. Yes, we can take action to honor our awareness and respect ourselves. When we are not listening to our bodies, we aren't respecting ourselves. And a little caveat to this, I'm going to do my usual disclaimer in a different way. So as you listen to my voice, stay connected with your body. Give it some gentle, loving squeezes so you can be clear on what of this information is actually relevant to you and which perhaps is for somebody else. And I'd like for you to consider that the thoughts, the feelings, the images that this information may bring up may be for you, or it may be information that you're receiving and picking up for somebody else. And so if you think of that someone else and you think that it would be beneficial for them to reach out to me, please share the consultation link on this episode's page with them so they can schedule a time to chat with me privately in a judgment-free space. It's really important for us to listen to our bodies, to respect ourselves. And I get that as I'm talking about some of the different examples of how it's shown up in my life personally and in the people that I know and have worked with, there is a bit of privilege that comes to this. And I hear this often. Hey, Siris, I know my body is saying this to me, but I can't afford that, or that's not really possible right now, or I don't have any idea on how I can do that. The how starts to show up. And I love that you're asking how. And yet it's really important for us not to use that question of how in the world is this going to happen to stop us from acknowledging that we're receiving that message to begin with. A lot of people let that sense of I have no idea how this can show up to stop them from even getting the messages, from saying that they know. They'll say, I don't know. That's not that. I don't know what to do. And you'll say, I don't know. And you'll go la 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 la, and you're blocking out that message versus, okay, body, I hear you. I get it. I'm not sure yet how this is going to show up, but I'm willing to look into it. I'm willing to receive the information. I'm willing to explore some options. I'm willing to get support on this so I can start taking action and figure out how and get the how. All right. To go from wow, this information is here. Okay. Now I can't say I didn't get that information to, okay, let's create a plan. All right. So I get that. I acknowledge that privilege. I will acknowledge it in the upcoming examples as well. So some episodes you might want to check out to complement what we're talking about today is having your fantastical voice, going beyond surviving when you're a survivor, when you're not sure what you want, that was another episode, and when you find it hard to receive. So take a note, maybe bookmark some of those episodes, save them for your listen to later. You can listen to them after this episode, or you can pause this one and come back to it and listen to those first. Whatever you get is your greatest yes with your body. We got some great questions sent in. Thank you so much. Hi, we got some people in the live chat in our live audience. Connect with us in our live audience by going to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com or the ICN app and going to the chat room, and you can talk to us and talk to me in the chat room. I love, love, love getting your messages. So one message that was sent in, one question that was sent in from one of our listeners, thank you, is when have you had moments of when your body wanted something different? And I read that and I laugh because for me, I'm like, my body's constantly sending me messages. And for me, it's not so much when is my body sending me messages or not. It's okay, what kind of message is it sending now? And so it's important to distinguish if the message is for more, for something different, or for something less. And I talk a lot about, I talk a lot about when when we can choose something that'll create more for ourselves, more for the people we're connected to, more ease, more expansion, more space, just more of what we're looking for. And today it's going to be more about what's different when it's asking for something different. But I don't want to leave without saying that sometimes our bodies are asking for more sex or more touch, more money, more caring, more connection, more creative space, a time to actually pursue our creative outlets, more clients, more business ideas, more clarity. So all of that's important. And when it's something different, yes, there's a lot of moments when my body's asked for something different. One of the first ones that come to mind is when I was really, really sick all the time. And starting in my teenage years, I went to residential high school. I went to the Illinois Math and Science Academy, or IMSA. Hi to my IMSA alum. And to any of you that are at IMSA right now, if you happen to listen to this, hi. Just such a wonderful experience. Me going there instead of going to my public school really changed the trajectory of my life in the most powerful, positive, and just amazing way. I'm so, so grateful to IMSA. And it was a school that we lived there in our dorms, and it was from sophomore through senior year. So from 10th through 12th grade. And at that time, I was really struggling with feeling like I had to be perfect, like a great daughter. I had to be really looking out for everybody else. I was providing therapy basically at 13, 14, 15 to my dad at the time, who was very lonely and was really struggling with the divorce from my mom, which happened when I was 11. But I also felt really suffocated and just had so much pressure on myself. And I didn't really feel like my school was a great fit, but I didn't think that there was really another option. And then my mom learned about IMSA, learned about the Illinois Math and Science Academy. And at first, my body was like, oh, that sounds exciting. And then all of the pressure and all of these expectations and all of these thoughts of, oh, but I can't leave my family and I need to stay with my family because family is the most important thing. And think about this. You're just 13, 14. I think there's a lot of kids that are putting all this pressure on themselves. There's a lot of adults that are too, but it starts really young. And for me, it definitely did. And so I went and I did a tour of the school, and that excitement kept bubbling up again. And I kept smashing it down, and it kept bubbling up, and I kept smashing it down. And then I asked questions of the current students there, and everything they said was everything that I was hoping for. It was I would find myself leaning forward and just captive to their experiences and to them being so excited about learning. I really was frustrated with feeling like I had to hide how much of a nerd and a dork I was, how much I really truly loved learning and wanted to ask questions and was voraciously reading. That wasn't really something that was cool or accepted. And especially with most of my peer group and the Latinos and the Black people I was hanging out with. When I was in my honors classes, most of them were white kids and maybe one or two Latinos, maybe one or two Black kids, and they weren't in the same peer groups that I was in. So I felt like I had to hide this aspect of myself with the people that I wanted to hang out with. And there I felt like I didn't have to. I wouldn't have to hide that I absolutely love learning. I love reading. I'm curious. I'm adventurous. I want to travel. I didn't want to stay in that city and in that neighborhood. I wanted to explore the world. And so this is before I had my clear yes and no. This is before I learned these tools that I invite people to play with now. And that was one of the first times that I let myself listen to that inner knowing that said, "Hey, it's time for something different. This is here. All you have to do is choose it." And I still didn't let myself get super, super excited. I was like, I'm going to apply. It took a lot of convincing. My mom was like, you can do this. She encouraged me. She's like, you're not going to, it can't hurt to apply. And so I did all the different process of application. It was like applying to college at 15. And so I applied, and my birthday month, celebrate your life, right before my quinceañera, right before turning 15, I got the news. My mom pulled out the envelope from her back, and she's like, here it is. And I opened it up and I screamed and I cried and I was so, so happy. And that's part of what happens when you get the information to that your body wants something different. Because my body was leaning in, my body was smiling more, my body felt lighter, and I didn't feel like I had to hide. I didn't feel like any part of me was needing to be blocked with this choice. And so when you honor that, your body celebrates with you. It's like your best friend or your mom or your cheerleader that is like, yes, get it. You can have this now. That's what I wish for each of you in any area of your life where you're feeling like your body is asking for something different. So it's time for our first break of the show. When we return, we will continue to discuss some of the other ways that our bodies can show us that it would like something different, and what are some resources and tips that we can use in case we'd like to explore this further for ourselves and have a lot more ease and clarity with it. So you're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss when your body's awareness is asking for something different. We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is when your body's awareness is asking for something different. Just so you know, our show is brought to you by Activated Liquid Collagen from LifeVantage. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. Check out the Activated Liquid Collagen and LifeVantage's other natural plant-based products to address anti-aging, gut health, energy, and more by going to www.sirisrivas.lifevantage.com. Our episode is also brought to you by The Elements of Living, the ingredients to creating empowered, authentic, and joyful living with your body. By familiarizing yourself with the elements of living, or EOLs, you can identify where you already have the ingredients to create a phenomenal life that's worth living to you, awaken the slumbering elements essential for you to thrive, and stop anywhere that you are being misled by irrelevant and erroneous information. For our listeners, you can receive the introductory quick book on the elements of living for free, waiving the current cost of the book by emailing us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line elements. And for more information on the elements of living, visit www.empoweringlightlanguage.com/elements of living. So before we went on break, we were talking about some of our questions. There was a question sent in about some of the moments that I've had when my body was asking for something different. And I talked about a middle school, high school experience. Before I forget, make sure to connect with us in our live chat room on the ICN app or on the Inspired Choices Network. And you can go ahead and send me messages through there. You can also connect with us on any of our 450 platforms for podcasts and TV. And one of our live audience members just wrote a question in. So the question is, how can you determine if the message you're getting from your body is a need versus a desire or want? I love that question. There's a lot of different ways for you to do that. When you have your clear yes and no, and I talk about how to get your yes and no in previous podcast episodes, including the ones I mentioned earlier before our first break, you can actually ask simply, hey, is this a need? Is this required? Is this just a desire? For me, I think that a lot of people actually don't put a lot of value on desires, like as if that's something that isn't required. Well, I actually include the energy of desires and needs all together. So when I ask, hey, is this something that's going to work for me? Yes or no? It includes desires and needs both, because I'd like to have what I desire, what's joyful, what's yummy and fun for me, in what's going to be required and what's going to meet my needs, what's going to meet my body's needs. So that's one way that you can do that. Another way that you can figure out if it's a need or a desire or what's actually going to work for you is actually getting the energy of, okay, if I continue on with this relationship the way it is, if I continue on with this business or business model the way it currently is, if I continue on with these health choices that I've been making so far indefinitely, what would my life be like 5 years from now? What would my life be like 10 years from now, 50 years from now? And to see what it creates. And if it's something that's more of a yes, more of that spaciousness, more of that lightness for your body, where it brings you smile and joy, keep doing that. Keep choosing that path. You're on the right track. And if it feels heavier, more contracted, and like you actually start to panic, then that's when you need to make it something different. When your body's telling you, hey, something different is required here. Something different is needing to be instituted. And then let's look at when we can actually do that. Okay. So I've definitely had moments of that for myself. Like, gosh, most recently, there was a question sent in. What was the last time you got a message from your body? I mean, my body sent me a message this morning, but one of the last ones that was a bigger life decision was I had a big, like a water leak in the ceiling of my house, my current house. And I was doing yoga. I was enjoying the yoga. My body was like, let's get some movement in. And I had my back to the window in the second floor of my loft. I have a living room downstairs and a loft upstairs. And that's where I like to do yoga. And so I had my back to the window. And next thing you know, I'm turning around to change positions and I see all the floor just covered in water by the window, but it wasn't the window that was leaking, like the bottom of the window, like it was coming through the bottom. No, it was the actual frame and the ceiling above that frame, which suggests a structural, like an outside structural issue. And I'm renting the house that I'm currently in. And so I was like, okay, we need to talk to the landlords. We need to talk to the property management. And I also could smell the mold. I'm starting to clean it up with the towels and I'm smelling mold, and that's a no-go for me. I definitely healed most of my mold allergies. I used to have very severe, like deadly mold allergies. I could walk into a home and if there was any remnant of mold, I would pick up on it. And I was like, I am sorry, I gotta go. I couldn't even stay in that space. That's how bad it was. So I was able to smell the mold right away. I'm cleaning up the water with my partner, and we call the property management. And pretty quickly, we realized that the landlord was not going to address the structural issues, the actual core problem. It was just going to try to patch it up, which they did. They patched it up, but they weren't going to address what was going on the outside. So it was very likely that it was going to keep happening. And my partner has even more severe allergies to molds than me. So for both of our bodies, the idea of staying in this house indefinitely was a need. Was we needed to leave. Sorry, to leave was a need, not to stay. To honor our bodies and make sure that we weren't exposing ourselves unnecessarily to mold, that, as many of you know, can turn to black mold easily when it's not addressed, was just not going to happen. So it was a very loud alarm bell, bap, 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 in my world. And I even just the idea of saying my chest had this pressure on it, and my breathing got very erratic, like I was like, no. So that was a very clear, loud signal from my body, like, you know what? Nope, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. Oh my gosh. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of the difference between a need and a desire. But what if you actually had them all together? What if it wasn't like, oh, I get to have fun and I get my desires and I get those joyful things and the adventure over here, and I have those needs over there? When you actually get to look at the long view of your life, you don't go into the scarcity mentality of feeling like, if I don't get this immediate gratification, this thing that's pulling at me right now, I am bereft. I am losing out. You're not missing out if you realize that by planting the seeds for what's going to work for you now and in the future, you actually will have that more easily. And maybe you can have a bit of it now instead of all of the ways that you could have it. So you can have it in a way that's sustainable and more frequent. That's one of the things I like. Like, I look at that with my relationships too. When I am thinking about, oh, is it just a piecemeal where I get this certain need met every once in a while by this person? Or is it something that is just a part of who they are? They naturally are caring. They naturally are affectionate. They naturally have my back and are curious about me. They naturally are adventurous, and I don't have to drag them out of the house. That's just who they are. That's one of those things that I look at with my relationships, and including my relationships to certain companies and businesses. If it's just a part of the company culture to support people, or for me to be autonomous and do whatever I need to do, and for them to trust that I know what I'm doing, that's going to nurture me and my body and my way of being, then, oh, I have to check all the time. I have to be asking all the time. I'm willing to ask, yes. But what are those things that are so important to you that you'd rather not have to ask all the time? It's just maybe periodically as a reminder, versus like, if you don't ask, it doesn't happen. These are these important signals to us for us to know when we may want something different. So another way that it can show up, let me look here at our time. Yeah, we're almost at a break, but I want to mention one more example. So another time when I was talking about my health crisis and when I was really, really sick before, one of the things that also was really helpful to me is I started feeling better. I started looking at different options for myself. I saw so many different doctors, and I was really tired at one point of having to tell my whole health history over and over and over again. But I recognized that if I continued on the path that I was on, given the current information I had, I was going to die. Multiple doctors told me so. They were telling me that if I continued onward with my chronic respiratory infections, my chronic vaginal infections, my chronic reproductive health issues, all these allergies, asthma, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, I was not going to be on this planet much longer. And as much as I was allergic to a lot of the stuff outside, the very nature that was so beautiful to me, it was also creating havoc in my world. And I wanted to have a new way of being with the earth. I actually asked for that. I was like, I love the world. I wanted to be a planeteer with Captain Planet. How can I have this new way of being with the earth that doesn't involve me getting sick and having this upheaval in my world? And so I kept reaching out to different people. I kept asking my current contacts for people that they knew that updated their health, that did an upgrade in their immune system. And my mom found a naturopathic doctor that I worked with very closely for many years that created a personalized treatment plan for me that involved different diet changes and supplements and tinctures, energy work. And within 2 years of very dedicated efforts on my part, I was very disciplined about it. I had a completely different immune system. I could live, I could breathe, I could sleep. I could sleep. Oh my gosh. And so one of those things that is part of not giving up on yourself is knowing that there are people out there that have gone through what you've gone through, and finding those people and asking them what they did to change their path, to change the trajectory of their lives so that they can have a different possibility. And one of the things I love to do with people who reach out to me for consultations and coaching is to connect them with those different people. I have a big directory, and if I don't personally know somebody, I know somebody that knows that person that could support you. And so reach out if you are looking for somebody that can help you get on a new trajectory. Okay. All right. It is time for our next break. Oh my goodness. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about when your body's awareness is asking for something different. You are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network, and we will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
All right. So welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is when your body's awareness is asking for something different. Our show is brought to you by Activated Liquid Collagen from LifeVantage. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. Check out the Activated Liquid Collagen and LifeVantage's other natural plant-based products to address anti-aging, gut health, energy, and more by going to www.sirisrivas.lifevantage.com. And when you email us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line collagen, you can get $10 off of your first order. So make sure to take advantage of that. Our episode is also brought to you by The Elements of Living, the ingredients to creating empowered, authentic, and joyful living with your body. By familiarizing yourself with the elements of living, or EOLs, you can identify where you already have the ingredients to create a phenomenal life that's worth living to you, awaken the slumbering elements essential for you to thrive, and stop anywhere that you are being misled by irrelevant and erroneous information. For our listeners, you can receive the introductory quick book on the elements of living for free, waiving the current cost of the book, by emailing us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line elements. For more information on the elements of living, visit www.empoweringlightlanguage.com/elements of living. So before we went on break, we were talking about how to differentiate between when the messages for your body is a need versus a desire or a want. And I'd love to talk a little bit more as well about how there's a question that was sent in by one of our listeners. It's like, how can I know when it's time for a change in my relationship? And thank you for sending in that question. One of the things that I really, really love is actually being clear on what you would truly like to have as a relationship. Thinking as if you're single, think as if you're not in a relationship at all. And doing this periodically over the course of your relationship. A lot of people think as soon as I'm in the relationship, it's a matter of tweaking and changing and making sure that I stay in this commitment. And it's first and foremost a commitment to you and your true desires, and in seeing if your current relationship and where it currently stands is meeting those desires or those needs. And so what I do is I guide my clients through looking at what they truly desire, actually getting clear with that with their bodies, and then writing those down and then narrowing it to about 3 to 5 non-negotiable things, and seeing with each of those items, well, how many of the things in their current relationship would need to change to meet those needs? Would it be something that is actually a part of who that person is that would need to change to have that need met? Or is it just something logistical or something situational? Is it something that it's more of a change of location, a change of communication style? Maybe it's a way of approaching sex and intimacy, the frequency of how often you go on dates together. What exactly needs to be changed? Is it something that is at the core of the person, which is not likely to change? Or is it something that's more circumstantial? And when you get clear on this and you have these two different pieces of information, you really can know what to do to move forward. It helps you create a plan so that you can have these conversations with your current partner to see if they're both willing and able to make those changes. And then also inviting them to do that exercise as well, so that they can make sure that their needs are being met. It's not about one person or the other. What if both of you can have your needs met and have what you truly desire showing up in your lives and in your relationship? And so if when you do this exercise, you're like, whoa, okay, yeah, these are the things I'd really, really like to have. If I was totally coming from a blank slate and I was getting anything I wanted, I could wave a magic wand. My magic wand's here and I could have this. This is what I would really like. If you get, oh, wow, I'm not actually having some of these things, then yes, that's when you know that there's a change happening. The other thing too is when you think about your relationship, how do you feel about it more times? Do you feel sad? Do you feel resentful and bitter? Do you feel happy? Do you feel supported? Are you frustrated? What are the predominant feelings and thoughts that you have when considering your relationship? A lot of times people come to me for relationship coaching because they are frustrated, or they're at the point of, if we don't do something, we're going to get a divorce. If we don't change something, we're not going to be together. Or if something doesn't shift here, our kids are going to have really poor models for a relationship, and I don't want that. So come and look at this information for yourself and see how you're feeling about your relationship. And if you're feeling about it in a way that's more times than not what you don't want to be feeling, if you're really having the relationship of your dreams, then maybe it's time for something to change. And it's an important distinction to look at your relationship versus the things that may be affecting your relationship. Like, I've definitely had it over different points of my life where I had a loving partner. I was so happy for them. And then And then they got unemployed, and it wasn't about our relationship, but this outside thing was affecting us, or they were really, really sick. Or when I was in poly relationships, their other partners were having drama, or they were having sickness, or they were having issues with their other partners, and it was starting to affect my relationship with my partner. So it's also really important to distinguish, is it really about your relationship and that dynamic, or these external things that are then starting to play a role and poke at and affect your relationship? So if you saw your relationship as a ball, right? Is it in this nurturing ball, and it's maybe really yummy and really fun, and when you're in this oasis with that person, the world disappears. But then as soon as you are interacting with the world, maybe their family is not in agreement with you, or maybe their friends are really like full of a lot of stuff going on with them and drama. It's like another blanket. And when that blanket's on, it affects your relationship, but it's not your actual relationship. It's not the ball. And so knowing that difference is also really important too, so that you can be clear on, okay, we might need to change this other stuff that's outside of our relationship, so that those things can nurture us instead of distract us, frustrate us, and are all the other emotions that I mentioned, and maybe some others that I haven't mentioned yet. All right. Thank you for that question. Thank you for all those questions. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So an example of that. Yeah. Thank you for asking. So I'm looking at the chat and stuff too. So an example of that, when I was, gosh, there's so many examples of that with my relationships. So one of them was, I was dating somebody. This is actually not an example I've mentioned in any of the previous podcasts or classes. I was dating someone for a couple years, and I loved them so, so much. They exposed me to so much culture and music and experiences that I otherwise wouldn't have. He was a teacher, and so we had this love of education and of being of service to the community and impacting future generations. We shared that as well. He was really into health to a point, not in the same way that I was, but he was active. He was a runner. I don't like running, but he was a runner, and he was looking for a new activity that could replace running, because running was starting to affect his joints with all that impact. And so I introduced him to yoga, and he actually became a yoga instructor. It was phenomenal. And he was a wonderful yoga instructor. Really used his teaching skills of the classroom and it translated to the yoga classroom really beautifully. And at one point after the school year started, and he was still teaching in a high school while starting to explore yoga, he was a completely different person when it was the summer versus the school year. I really didn't have a boyfriend in the same way during the school year. He would get only 4 hours of sleep. He was always busy grading and lesson planning. The way that school was set up was really tough, really, really toxic in a lot of ways for the teachers. And not all teachers have this way of having to do lesson plans and quizzing and grading, but his school did. And so it was very hard for us to have time that wasn't like him working next to me and us really being just next to each other versus really being present and engaged with each other. And that's one of the things that is a non-negotiable for me. I really, really love and require for when I'm with somebody, if we've said, okay, we're eating a meal together, or we're said we're going to watch a show together, that they're really with me in that moment versus being sidetracked by other things. It's not that they have to do that all the time 24/7 when they're with me, but if we said, hey, this is what we're doing, let's really do this together and be with this. And so he wasn't really present. He wasn't really there. And then when it came to sex, I felt like I had to beg for sex. And I was super cute. I'm still cute, but I was cute in a different way. I shouldn't say I was more cute then, because I don't agree with that, but I was super cute. I was really healthy. I was really fit. I was really fun. I'm in this loving relationship, and I felt like I had to beg for sex. And I've had that on multiple relationships, which is really frustrating. And when we finally would have sex, he would be smug about it. he would basically imply that he just threw me a bone, literally and figuratively, and I should be super grateful. And I was like, am I the only one that should be grateful that we just had sex? Really? Am I not contributing anything here? Am I not giving you any pleasure as well? It was really, really not just frustrating, it was hurtful. It became a moment, issue of contention. And so being hurt over and over and over again by a partner is not fun, and I don't like it, and I don't recommend it for anyone. And after a while, that hurt starts to affect your body and your perspective on yourself, perhaps on your relationship. And so my body was telling me, ow, and then ow, and then ow, and then ow. I actually could hear the ow, and I could feel the ow, like as if it was a physical hit, the way that he was talking to me and the way that he was looking at me after we would be intimate. And so I listened, and I told him that it wasn't going to work and I needed something to change. And we had the conversation that I just recommended of, well, what is he willing and able to do and what's important to him? And it was going to be years before he would be able to make the changes, even though he saw that maybe he could, but it wasn't urgent to him. And it wasn't something that was going to be a priority. And I couldn't keep having those hits over and over and over again because I did want to be intimate. So I broke up with him, and he did not like that. And he was very upset. But it was an honoring of me, and it was me respecting myself, because I was not going to keep having those moments of him feeling like he was doing me a favor by having sex with me and not actually getting the gifts that I was bestowing on him as well by me being intimate with him. So that's one of the things that we can look at. All right, it is time for another break. My goodness. You are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss when your body's awareness is asking for something different. We will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you. This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris on the Inspired Choices Network. And we are talking about today when our body's awareness is asking for something different. So many different ways that this can show up. We've talked about quite a few. There's so many more because each of our bodies are different, and we have to learn the different personalities of our bodies. Each of our bodies are unique. And it's not going to work for us to use what works for other people's bodies all the time on ours. Sometimes we can be inspired by other people's bodies and other people's choices to see if it might work for us, but not feeling like, okay, if it worked for my family, it must work for me. If my best friend this, I guess that's what I have to do. What if there wasn't a have to with that? And so we got sent in another question. I don't want to leave today without addressing this question and this comment. Thank you so much. I love this. This question was sent in. How can I teach my kids how to know how to listen to their bodies more? I'm worried for their safety. Kids are so influenced by their peers, and with all the information they're getting, many of which is wrong, I'm concerned they will be led astray. I get it. There is a lot of information kids are getting right now. It's all the information that we were getting directly from our peers, and then they're all connected to the internet, right? They're all connected to this information. Much of it is empowering. A lot of parents worry about all the information that is wrong and all the information that is inaccurate. But there's also a lot of information out there that can be empowering, that lets them know of different examples of how they can live that they might not otherwise consider. And so I want to just put that out there as well, because a lot of parents that message me, they're worrying about all of the bad, and they don't get there's some of it that is actually really helpful, and you can use that to leverage your time as a parent and to have these conversations with them. So how do you teach your kids about how to listen to your bodies more? Well, definitely check out our episodes on listening to children's bodies and energies. There's been 2 installments so far. We're going to have another one in the coming months. We talk a lot in there about how to do this. Make sure you practice as a family getting your yes and your no with your bodies. Kids get this, and they pick up on it faster than adults, honestly, from my experience. My mission and vision is for more people, especially starting at an earlier age, to have this information with their bodies so that they could be creating their lives in a way that's going to light them up and that's going to work for them. Also providing a space where you get and you say, hey, what's your body telling you? And actually asking them that, because a lot of times we don't ask our kids that, and we don't ask ourselves that. And that simple question can invite them to tap into their body's awareness. And the more that you practice that with them, and you're a living example of doing this, they'll see how beneficial it is to partner with their bodies. And they'll do it more when you're not around, when their friends are telling them certain things. They'll pick up on, does that feel true to you? Or does that feel like a lie? Does that feel like something that's going to work for you? Or does that feel like something that's going to take you away from what you'd really like to do and what you'd really like to have? And letting them know that they can say no. There is a call that we did on 1,000 ways to say no. Maybe brainstorm some of those ways with them so that they get that they not only can say no with other people, but they can say no to you. And that's what a lot of parents don't always want their kids to do. They're looking for obedience instead of a conversation, especially in those earlier years, perhaps. I don't know, for a lot of people, it can be any age where they're doing this, but these are a couple of things that you can do so that your kids can learn to listen to their bodies more, and they can have their fantastical voice, and they can have a sense of feeling empowered instead of feeling like they have to fit into what is being projected and expected of them. Okay. All right. Another great resource too for yourself and for your kids. I love the book Right Body for You by Danielle Carter. I have that right here. Whoop, I just dropped one of my other books right here. It's by Danielle Carter and Gary Douglas. It talks about how to have your body as your best friend. And she provides a lot of great examples for there in that book. And it's a great book to read aloud with your kids. Check out different energetic modalities, the Living and Dying Body Process classes and the Awakening class that's coming up in June. We usually have kids in those classes because they're really fun. It's really inclusive, and it's very empowering for them. It's been amazing to have kids have this tool in their arsenal. So many questions. Our next episode is going to be geeking out about pleasure and intimacy movies with my special guest host, Milica Jelenich. There's going to be so many movies we're going to be talking about, and knowing us, we're probably going to get into some TV shows as well. We're going to geek out about all of that and make sure that you walk away with some insights about how you can have pleasure and intimacy in a different way, making sure that you can explore some things outside of your comfort zone. And maybe we'll give you some tips as well on how you can start not just using the movies as the be all end all, but for you to be inspired and for you to have some playfulness and enjoyment as you're exploring some of the possibilities that are mentioned in those movies and TV shows and in our experiences that we'll mention. So we're going to be talking about our favorite shows, our favorite movies, and you're going to walk away with a list of ones to check out. We're going to try to make it as inclusive as possible to platforms, all these different platforms where you can view them. And make sure to check out our last one where we were geeking out about pleasure and intimacy books. That was a really fun episode on her show, The Pleasure Zone. That's also on the Inspired Choices Network. Gosh, we're going to have such a great time. Make sure to join us. And thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing a Different Future show. Siris returns Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, keep choosing what will work for you and your body, your own unique way honoring what will work for you.